All right, let's talk about Isiah Pacheco and the Chiefs running game. I think it could be an interesting aspect in this. And I think first we should mention Chiefs, not a team that runs the ball a lot, right? This is their pass frequency over expected, and it's pretty high over expected. That bar at the top, 7% more than every other team. So they're a team that throws the ball a lot. The only scenarios where they're slightly more likely to run the ball are on short situations, so like a second down and 1 or 2, or a third down and 1 or 2. Then they run the ball a little bit more than average. But other than that, they're throwing the ball a lot. They're definitely a team that likes to pass it, but that doesn't mean they only pass it. The running game is still an aspect of football at the end of the day. Also, looking over at some Pro Football Focus grades, which, some people get annoyed when I bring these up. Listen, I just bring it up to bring it up. I'm giving you information to do what you want with it. All I'm doing is bringing it up for that. But, you see that PFF kind of has it, I don't want to say as a tie, maybe a slight edge towards San Francisco, 10th best run defense versus, the 18th best run blocking unit for Kansas City, but 11th best rushing unit. So, okay, not a massive advantage one way or the other, but an advantage definitely geared towards the 49ers a little bit. But if we're going over here, I don't know. I think the Chiefs have at times really done a great job at running the football well. And part of it is teams play a lot of two safety deep coverages against them. So there's usually, easier opportunities to block everybody out of the way. But you see, that's the blocking concept on the screen. Watch as when Mahomes hands the ball off to Pacheco right here. I paused it, and there definitely is a running lane. It's a little bit hard to see again. Wish I had all 22, but the website chart that I'm supposed to get all 22 has just been a mess. So doing what I can here. But you see how he is, there is a running lane. He gets through until this safeties when they come in and make a tackle. So for San Francisco, who will play their, cover 3, but then play cover 4, if they're playing cover 4, I could see a scenario where you have someone to block everybody. And because of that, you're able to pick up some yards that way. That is something that, definitely is an option. Also, something like this is worth mentioning is, I talked about the short situations. Well, what about a goal line situation? These types of plays can sometimes make or break football games, right? If it's a 4th and goal at the 1, the Chiefs go for it and they get stopped versus them getting it could be the difference. Those can be 7-point swings. Those can be huge plays. So something like this, you see how this can work. You have a tight end who's going to be pulling around. It's Travis Kelce, who, contrary to popular belief, does block. He is still a tight end. But you see when this play begins, really, it's not like it's working perfectly right now for Pacheco, but he's going to be patient enough. Watch, eventually it kind of is able to power through. Pacheco does pick up the touchdown there, So they are able to win that block. They've been winning them a little bit recently, but not every single time. It's interesting because, again, with Patrick Mahomes, you'd think that they would be throwing the ball more than the average team does on a 3rd down and 1 or a 4th down and 1 situation, especially when you factor in they don't run the quarterback sneak because Mahomes got hurt one year doing that. Now they just don't do it. But going over to something like this, everyone got mad at Dan Campbell for his 4th down decision-making. People forget, the Chiefs went for it on several 4th downs, and so did the Ravens in this game. Most of them worked, but this one was the one that did not. It's a 4th and 1. They are going to try and run the football here, and there's a couple of weak spots on this Chiefs offensive line. I'm going to be honest. Look at how when this play begins, you see that first off, this isn't a weak spot, but Kyle Hamilton off the edge is doing what he can to try and come over and make a play. He was unblocked at the line by design, so that's something that on these short yardage situations for San Francisco, whoever it is, definitely have to make sure you're paying close attention to. If you are an unblocked player, you have to be aggressive, you have to get over, you have to block Pacheco, but that's not the only situation here. First, let me take your attention to Travis Jones right there, the interior defensive lineman who is going one-on-one against a Chiefs backup guard. So Joe Thuney, the typical guard, he's dealing with an injury. There is some chance he plays in the Super Bowl. Feels like they'd be really rushing him back if that is the case. But again, who knows? I'm not a doctor. That's just how it sort of feels. But even if he, does end up playing, is he going to be at 100%, right? And if that position isn't shored up, and whether it's Joe Thuney playing while injured, or if it's just a backup guard doing it, there's a mismatch, and that's not the only situation. Right there is Donovan Smith trying to not fall over right here as Clowney kind of got by him pretty quickly. And listen, Clowney gets by a lot of guys pretty quickly. But you know who else does? Nick Bosa, right? Even Chase Young, despite the fact that a lot of people are criticizing him, he can still be a really good run defender. So definitely there are some options. And even Jawan Taylor, I don't think is a great run. I think he would tell you he's not a great run blocker, right? Like, that's not a surprise there. So in these situations, you see right here, Pacheco, not a lot he can do. He gets tackled, does not pick up the first down there. And, you know, this could be a situation that arises. Like, this is definitely something you have to pay attention to. So while the Chiefs might not run the ball a ton in this game, there could be specific moments where they, key moments where the running game really comes into play. And who has the edge there? Well, I gotta think San Francisco, given their D-line versus the Chiefs' offensive line. Like, something like this is a good example where, against Detroit, like, listen, Detroit, very good unit, right? They have a lot of really talented offensive linemen who can block very well. On this play, though, what's going to happen is, so first, it's Javon Kinlaw, actually, who, again, he's not necessarily their star, but, watch what he's going to do. As you see, he gets blocked kind of out of the way, but does enough here to kind of disrupt Gibbs just a little bit. Slows down Gibbs a little bit. And I think there might have actually even been a miscommunication on this play by Detroit. But here's the other aspect, is if you're not winning at the offensive line level, you're losing. Like, it's not enough to just block the defensive lineman in a traditional sense. You have to do better than that because of the linebackers. Look at Fred Warner right there. Nobody is on him, which that just can't happen. As you see, Warner is able to run in. He makes a tackle on Gibbs, only gives up a yard, and that's just kind of what Kansas City might be dealing with. Is, well, yes, they have at times ran the ball very effectively. San Francisco, I think, does a really, they have a matchup advantage in the trenches, and they have debatably the best, linebacker tandem in the league with Greenlaw and Fred Warner. So that's a bit concerning if you're a Chiefs fan. Do I think that for something like this, do I think that the Chiefs will not be able to run the ball at all? No, I think there will be opportunities. Like I said, if there are two safety deep coverages, then, I definitely think that could be a thing you do, is run the football. But at the same time, I wouldn't advise for Kansas City to run the ball on 4th and 1. It could work, but it wouldn't be, I think, their best play unless it's a quarterback sneak, which they don't love to do. But I don't know, maybe if it's the Super Bowl, they would be willing to do. I don't know. And as a whole, am I expecting the running game to kind of make or break this game for Kansas City? I don't think so. At the end of the day, getting the ball in Mahomes' hands more often than not is probably a good idea. That's probably what I would want to do anyway. But yeah, final kind of predictions thing. I am saying that the Chiefs running game, I'm going, on a scale of 1 to 5, I'm going to go +4 in the Niners' favor. That's kind of how I view it. I think it is a pretty big mismatch for the San Francisco 49ers. Not to say that again, don't really pay much attention to the bottom thing, the total. That's just more for fun. But, not meant to be taken seriously. But that's kind of how I'm viewing this specific matchup, as I do think that the Chiefs, I'm not expecting a ton from the running game. I think they'll get some. But I definitely think that when they will get their plays, it's going to be when the Niners are so committed to stopping the pass that those opportunities arise, which will happen. So I could see a scenario where they have an okay statistical day, but at the end of the day, I'm not expecting that to happen. I'm not expecting them to get key rushes. And I do think for the Chiefs, I would probably advise towards having passing be a big part of their game plan, which is what they're going to do anyway because they're the Chiefs. So yeah, those are my thoughts on all of this. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.